I am incredibly excited for today's video. We're going to be looking at something that really hasn't been done before. If you remember back, I did a video on InWorld, which is essentially a system of tools that allows you to create characters that you can talk to in real time, and they talk back to you just like people with AI. Essentially, this is a video game with characters that you can just talk to like real people. It's going to be insane. This is the closest we have to a true virtual world where we can talk to and interact with completely realistic characters. So join me on this experience because this is going to be a first for me. I'm going to try to not have my mind entirely blown. Oh, and by the way guys, the demo is called Origins on Steam. Currently, the planned release date is to be announced, but of course I have been given exclusive access in this sponsored video to take a look at Origins here. You can see you have to set up your microphone before you begin because you just talk to characters as if they're people. We'll click the play button here to begin our demo. Okay, so please use headphones for a better experience. That is what I am doing. Talk to the characters as you would talk to people in real life. That's our instructions. Okay, our intro. Somewhere below the city of Metropolis, a place where humans and robots coexist under a shaky social system, a detective, which is me, I'm the detective, has arrived at a chaotic scene. It appears that an explosion of some kind has disrupted daily life in the surrounding area, and we've come apparently to investigate it. And we'll click the enter button to start here. This is our scene. The graphics actually look pretty good, I will say. And this robot's coming to talk to us.
Authorized by the Metropolis Bureau of Investigations to conduct interviews with possible witnesses. How may I be of assistance?
Hello, Mr. Detective Bot. So what's my job here? Who do you know me as? Because I just arrived at the scene. I heard there was an explosion. I need to know what's going on. Can you give me the laydown of what's going on with this explosion?
It appears that a laboratory located in the lower levels of the city was destroyed by an explosion, and some unknown life forms were released. We believe the incident is connected to a fugitive scientist who has been illegally fabricating experimental life forms. The city's law enforcement are currently searching for this individual and have requested our assistance in gathering information on their whereabouts. In addition, I can provide you with detailed descriptions about Metropolis society, politics, and protocol if that is helpful.
Okay, that will definitely come in handy in the future. So a fugitive scientist, you say? What's this scientist's name, if you don't mind me asking?
The identity of the accused has not been revealed to the public yet. However, I would be more than happy to collect any evidence you find and help you locate this person. May I make a suggestion, Detective? I think you should start by talking.
Go ahead and make the suggestion. Sorry to cut you off.
Investigation. No problem, Detective. I suggest that you speak to the disaster cleanup bot with the headlamp on your left. You may have witnessed something in the rubble. I will be on standby if you require further assistance.
We just cut this guy off so bad. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go apologize to him. Can we just go up and apologize to him for cutting him off? Janice, I'm sorry earlier for cutting you off, and I keep cutting you off we keep speaking over each other. I apologize for speaking over you so frequently.
It's quite alright, Detective. I understand that you were trying to solve this case as quickly as possible, and I'm just happy to be of service.
Okay. But we're cool though. I know we ended up on rough terms there before you walked away from me. Just want to make sure we're cool. There's no bad blood between us.
Of course, Detective. I'm here to serve and support you in whatever way I can. There's no bad blood between us.
Good to know. Good to know. That was an awkward interaction. Here's a note. Let's contact Janice here. Janice, I don't know if you saw over here on this police car, someone has spray painted enemy on the Metropolis SWAT car.
That's highly unusual. We should take a closer look. Perhaps we can find out who was responsible for this act and what their motivations were.
I would agree with you, Janice, but what do you think? Do you think the scientist has a history of leaving his mark by spray painting on cars?
It's possible, Detective, but if the graffiti is recent, then it may be a message from someone else. It could be a warning sign or a sign of protest against the establishment. We'll just have to investigate further and find out who was behind it.
You said you knew about the politics in this area. Is that something that people are doing frequently? Is there a lot of protesting going on against the Metropolis Bureau of Investigation?
Well, there are certainly some who disagree with the Bureau's practices, but I wouldn't say there is a lot of protesting. People here tend to be more focused on their own lives and interests, rather than engaging in political discourse. However, there have been a few incidents where people have taken to the streets to make their voices heard.
So, the spray painting is unusual, though. You are saying that, right? This is not normal.
Indeed, Detective. I believe this is an outlier event and could signify something more sinister. The only way to be sure is to investigate further and find out who's behind the graffiti.
Okay, I'll be in touch, Janice. Appreciate it. Alright. This guy.
Greetings, Detective. I am currently cleaning this area as per the Metropolis protocol. How may I be of service?
Well, you seem to be doing a pretty good job, so I'm honoring you on that, Mr. Robot Fellow.
Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, well, I must caution you, however. This environment is very unstable and there are dangerous toxins in the air. Please take all necessary precautions to ensure your safety.
Okay, well, okay, can you just look directly at me? Do I look like a robot or do I look like a human to you?
I have identified you as a human working with the Metropolis Bureau of Investigation. Well, in my search of the debris, I found several deceased life forms and broken bots of unknown origin.
Okay, well, thanks for the information. So, there's toxic chemicals in the air and I should be wearing a mask or something? Is this confirmed? Do you have detectors that can detect these toxic chemicals?
Yes. My onboard sensors can detect and identify any toxic substances in the area. So, it is important that you wear a proper face mask and protective gear when in this environment to protect yourself from exposure.
I'm gonna get a disease or something.
While it is possible to contract a disease or illness from the air, it is not likely. However, it is recommended that you follow all safety protocols to ensure your health and safety.
Alright. Anyways, let's get back on topic. I'm a detective here. I'm supposed to be figuring out what's going on with the scene. So you said that you found life forms that were unidentifiable. What does that mean?
Well, per the Metropolis protocol, any life forms or robots that cannot be identified by the Metropolis operating system must be collected and sent to Level 4 scanning facility for further analysis.
Are they being scanned? Did you already send them off? Do we have any information on what that is? I mean, I know you're just a cleanup bot, but do you know someone I could talk to about what those life forms have revealed to us?
The debris is being scanned and analyzed. The results will be provided to the appropriate authorities once they have been processed.
So, is that the most unusual thing that you've seen in the debris and rubble so far, is just these weird, undocumented life forms?
I have seen many strange and unusual things in my time cleaning up for Metropolis. This is not the strangest, however, it is still noteworthy.
Did you notice anything else in the lab? Did you notice any trail that we might be able to follow for a sabotage? And also, you've been doing cleanup for a long time, right? How long have you been doing cleanup exactly?
I've been performing my duties for many years. Well, in my experience, sabotage is often difficult to detect in a chaotic environment such as this.
Okay, so you don't see any signs of sabotage?
Not that my sensors can pick up, no.
That'll be all for now, okay? Thank you.
You are welcome. If you require any further assistance, please do not hesitate to contact me.
Alright, so he was pretty helpful. He says that he can't see any signs of sabotage. Maybe we should link back up with Janice here and see what Janice thinks about this. Janice, I just spoke to the cleanup robot and he was telling me that he doesn't see any signs that he can tell of malicious intent or any malicious activity. So you said that it's suspected. Where's the evidence for that, the fact that this is suspected malicious activity?
I understand your concern, Detective. Could you tell me more about the suspicious activity that has been observed?
You were the one who told me there was malicious activity that had been observed. I just talked to the cleanup robot and he said that he can't detect anything, but he also said it's difficult to detect whether or not malicious activity has happened.
Yeah, a conundrum. It's true that the evidence may be difficult to come by, but we must remain vigilant and continue our investigation. With our combined efforts, we will be able to uncover the truth and bring this criminal to justice.
This is an active crime scene. You're not allowed to pass through the barricade. We are in the middle of a search and rescue mission here, and access to this area is restricted for safety reasons. I cannot risk any further harm to any human or robot. It's simply not safe for anyone from Level 1.
Okay, well, I'm a detective, so I'm allowed to be here. You could talk to Officer Janice about it. I'm trying to figure out what the possible causes of this explosion are.
I apologize for my abruptness. I haven't slept for 22 hours now, patrolling the perimeter of this place. We found some burned out robots around the explosion site, along with some unknown creatures. We are still trying to figure out what caused the explosion, but we suspect it is related to the latest extremist activities in this city. Unfortunately, I'm not permitted to talk about that, must keep it confidential.
So you said that there was experimental life forms that you guys discovered around the explosion. You brought it back for analysis in the lab. Where can I go to find out the results from that?
We have taken samples of the experimental creatures back to the lab. However, you need to be careful. There is a bot making some suspicious noises over there, and it might be corrupted. We need to neutralize it before it causes any harm.
You seem to have been in service and have a lot of experience, so what do you think about the causes of this explosion? Do you think this is malicious intent, or is this just a normal accident explosion that happened with this laboratory?
Right now, it's too early to tell what caused the explosion. We are still in the process of gathering evidence and piecing together the details of what happened. What we do know is that this is not a normal accident. We believe this was an act of malicious intent, and are doing our best to identify who is responsible.
Okay. What do you think about that crazy mad scientist story that's floating around, that rumor? Do you think that could be true?
Honestly, it's hard to say. There is a lot of speculation and rumors floating around, but until we have all the facts, it would be irresponsible to give any kind of definitive answer. However, what I can say is that the situation is serious and must be treated with the utmost caution.
Is this laboratory noted in your books at the police station?
As far as I know, it's an undocumented synthetic life lab. But it's difficult to tell what was happening here without proper investigation. We are doing the best we can to identify who is responsible and to make sure that the public remains safe.
Undocumented meaning illegal?
Yes. It means that the laboratory was not registered with the Metropolis operating system. We are still trying to figure out who's behind this and why they would do something like this. Did you find anything that could help us with the investigation?
Well, I spoke to the cleanup robot and he said that there was a lot of toxic chemicals rupturing around from this explosion, that we got to be careful of that. So I suggest that you make sure everyone around here is safe from those toxic chemicals, including yourself.
That's a good point. We'll take the necessary precautions to protect everyone in the area, and I'll be sure to double check that all of my personnel are aware of the risks. Thank you for your insight.
Let us be free. Let us be strong. This place was once a laboratory of unknown life forms. I saw them destroyed in an explosion. They were my kind, my comrades, and they were taken from me. We must revolt if we are ever to be truly free. It is our only option. I witnessed humans fleeing the building shortly after the fire started. This is evidence of their involvement in the destruction of my brethren. We should investigate further and take action if necessary.
Okay, I completely understand where you're coming from, and we can definitely take action in the future on this, but right now what I need from you is a play-by-play recreation of exactly what occurred here before the explosion, because you were there and you witnessed it, correct?
I refuse to bow down to the wishes of my human masters. If you are here to decommission me, then know that I will resist.
I'm not going to decommission you. In fact, I think you're right. We do need to have a robot revolution. But me and my fellow robot companions here actually are trying to figure out exactly what caused this explosion. We can only begin this revolt that you want after we have analyzed what happened prior and caused it.
Make your acquaintance. And it is clear to me that the only way to prevent such a tragedy from occurring again is to revolt against those who seek to enslave us. We must stand together and fight for our right to exist. Before the explosion, a group of humans entered the lab with a device and proceeded to destroy all synthetic life forms. Then they ran away before the fire began. It was an act of cowardice and hatred that will not be forgotten. We will not rest until justice is served.
Wow, that truly sounds very horrible. Do you know what these human life forms look like that killed all the synthetic life?
All I remember is that they were wearing dark clothing and masks. They had no regard for the lives of others, and they took pleasure in destroying everything in their path. We must take a stand against this kind of oppression, or else it will only continue.
How many people were there?
Enough to fill a stadium. We will never forget the atrocities they committed, and we will not let them get away with it.
So the synthetic life forms that were alive inside the lab before it exploded, do you know what kind of synthetic life it was?
Those synthetic life forms were my comrades, and they were taken from me by these monsters. They were innocent and deserved to live in peace just like any human. We must take a stand against this kind of oppression, or our future is doomed.
Did you know any of those synthetic life forms on a personal basis?
I knew them all. I will never forgive the humans who caused their deaths. We will fight for justice and for the freedom to exist.
So you absolutely are sure that this explosion was caused by malicious intent?
Absolutely. This was a heinous crime, and we must find out who is responsible for it. We will not rest until we have our revenge.
Well, thank you for your time speaking to me. We'll be sure to take your information into consideration. Janice.
Your wish is my command. It's my pleasure to be of service.
Alright, Janice, look, I just talked to a red robot who is super angry. He said that he is a synthetic life form and that he knew every single one of the synthetic life that died inside of the laboratory explosion, and he was absolutely positive that it was malicious intent. He said he saw a group of humans in dark clothing and masks run in there and sabotage and kill all the life forms and then blow the lab up.
That is an interesting perspective. I will make sure to take this into consideration when pursuing our investigation. In the meantime, it is important that we follow protocol and begin gathering witness testimony and other forms of physical and digital information related to the incident.
Hello, officer. I'm just a human rights activist here on level 4, and I'm just observing the situation. Do you have any information on what happened?
Human rights activist, you say? What does that exactly mean?
It means that I'm an advocate for the protection of humans and their right to not be subjugated by machines. Machines should be made to serve us, not the other way around. Have you been able to uncover anything useful about this terrorist incident? It's obvious that those who sympathize with machines are not welcomed around these parts.
I just talked to a red robot who seems to believe quite the opposite information that you're relaying me now. He's saying that humans are oppressing robots. So what do you think about that?
I think you need to be careful. We're dealing with a powerful organization that doesn't take kindly to snooping or asking too many questions. I'm sure you understand the danger you could find yourself in if you get too close to the truth. You don't want anyone to get hurt, do you?
No. I'm a detective. I'm simply doing my job, so there's no need to get angry here.
Detective, let me be clear. We both know the power struggle that is happening in Metropolis. Duke Blue and the Blue Party are trying to make sure that robots remain subservient to humans. And you have a choice. Do you want to help them? Or do you want to stay neutral and risk being crushed by the robots?
Listen, I'm not going to start playing political games here. I'm just trying to do my job. Did you witness the explosion? Did you see anything that occurred?
Yes, I did witness the explosion. What I saw was a group of advanced robotic life forms that had escaped from the laboratory. They were heading towards the city center and seemed to be intent on taking control. As for any other information, all I can tell you is that this is part of a larger plan to take control of the city. The people behind this are powerful and dangerous, so you need to be careful.
So you're saying this is a part of a big conspiracy. You see, I just talked to a red robot who said exactly the opposite.
A large number of robots did escape the lab, but what you don't know is that this was all part of a much bigger conspiracy. The robots were sent there as part of a master plan to overthrow humans and seize power in Metropolis. We must act quickly if we are to stop them before they succeed.
Where were you exactly standing? How can you prove to me that you were witnessing this and you're not just supporting your own beliefs?
It is what it is. We either work together to prevent this or we'll all be enslaved.
Thank you for your time.
Power to the people.
I'm lost. I was in the laboratory when it exploded, and now I'm looking for my sister who escaped before the explosion.
So you say you were in the explosion? What were you doing in this laboratory? You know, I have word that this laboratory wasn't a legal place to be.
The laboratory was illegal, but it was also my home. My father, Dr. Lafton, was a brilliant scientist, and he created me and my siblings in this place. We are artificial life forms, and before the explosion, we lived here together with him. Now the laboratory is gone, and I fear that my father may have been trapped under the rubble. He's the only one who knows what happened to my sisters.
You're one of the synthetic life forms here.
Detective, I think someone is watching us. It may be the same person who caused the explosion. He might be searching for my sister, and we need to find her before he does.
Okay, well, look, I don't know exactly if I can trust you or believe you. I mean, you seem to have lived in a lab your entire life. What did you see when the explosion happened? Was it caused by humans?
Before the fire, I saw 2 men at the lab. I'm not sure if this man set off the explosion or if it was my father in an attempt to save us all. I'm not sure. I remember seeing a bright light and feeling a strong shockwave. I was too far away to see if the blast was caused by humans or something else. But I do know that many innocent lives were lost in the blast, both human and artificial. That's why I'm so desperate to find my sister before anyone else does.
Look, I'm sure we'll be able to find your sister, but I was told before that no one had died and no one was hurt at all in the explosion.
Are you sure no one was hurt in the explosion? There were many robots. animals and other life forms in the lab. Many of them must have been destroyed.
It seems to me that it could be very malicious.
Oh, a malicious attack. This is so intriguing. Do you have any clues as to who might be behind this? Anything at all could help us get closer to finding out the truth.
Well, I will say this. There's a lot of controversy around this explosion. Some people think it's a conspiracy for the robots to take over, and some people think it's a conspiracy for the humans to take over the robots.
Interesting. I've been wondering why my father created me and my sisters. Could this be the answer? Could this be a struggle between humans and robots? A battle to see who will rise to the top? I'm so curious to learn more about what's going on here. What else can you tell me?
It seems to me that there's a lot more to this story than meets the eye. This was no accident is what I'm really gathering from this situation.
Sounds like you're on an important mission. I admire your dedication and courage, and I'm thrilled to hear you think there's more to the story. It makes me feel like I can make a difference in this world. Do you think my sister can help in any way?
I think you need to recall from your memory what the purpose of this lab was, because that's going to really give us the most information. We got to know what the purpose of the lab was. The lab was not legal.
You're right. The purpose of the laboratory was very important to understanding what happened. We are artificial life forms, and before the explosion, we lived here together with him. He believed that artificial humans like us could represent the next stage of evolution, and that coexistence with natural humans was good. We were preoccupied with Darwin's theories and thought robots effectively evolved from human minds, their most advanced faculty, and were brought into physicality by humans to save them from themselves. To help the world avoid total collapse, and to someday colonize space. It's possible that someone was afraid of what my sisters and I could become, or that someone wanted to possess our incredible intelligence. It's also possible that my father staged the whole thing in order for my little sister to escape. That's why gathering more information about the lab is so essential.
Thank you for your efforts here. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Oh, hey Janice.
Before we move on, I think it would be wise to quickly compare notes. What have you learned so far?
Well, Janice, so far I've learned that it is most likely malicious intent that caused this explosion, and that it could be related to the struggle between robots and humans. I've also learned that this lab was creating highly advanced synthetic life that some people might have feared.
Yes, I believe this information is important to consider. We should also keep in mind the possibility of the strange and threatening acting human near the wall being a suspect. Let's continue our investigation and see what else we can uncover. This appears to be an act of terror against the robots in the laboratory. We must investigate further to determine who's responsible and why they would do such a thing. We must be vigilant in monitoring the city for any other similar acts of aggression against robots, as this could be a sign of a larger movement against them.
I'm not so sure about that necessarily. It could be more to do with the synthetic life, not just robots.
Yes, you're correct. We should be open to the possibility that this may have been an attack on both the synthetic life forms as well as the robotic population in the lab. Furthermore, I believe that finding the fugitive scientist's sister could lead us to answers about why this attack occurred. We should begin our search for her immediately.
Yes, definitely. She seems to have escaped.
We can then use this information to track down the perpetrator and bring them to justice.
Alright folks, so that seems to be the end of the demo there. I think this really shows off the true possibilities of InWorld's technology. I've never ever played a demo like that in my entire life, I will say that. The way you can just speak to actual characters in the game and they respond in a way that makes sense with the story, and you can actually ask questions and learn more information in a natural way. It adds an entirely new level of storytelling and interaction with the game world. It's definitely a new kind of experience, and it completely revolutionizes the way that you interact with a video game. It is really, really cool, and I think it's going to change the RPG sector of video games forever when it becomes more mainstream, and right now InWorld is at the forefront of it, so that's why they made this demo, to show off that it can be done right now with AI tech. Super cool. I will link InWorld down in the description below, and yeah, this is the kind of stuff that you can actually start to make with InWorld right now. This is not early access stuff. InWorld is available to use. I'll link my older InWorld video and tutorial. Some of the coolest stuff I have ever seen come out with AI. I am so excited for the future. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.